Today, we're going to make Spanish feel a little magical because we're talking about the future, the simple, useful, everyday future, the kind you need when you want to say, I'll call you, we'll eat later, or they'll arrive tomorrow. And the nice thing is this. In Spanish, the future is often very friendly. For the verbs we're using today, you keep the whole verb and simply add a new ending. That's it. No chopping, no dramatic surgery, just a neat little future backpack attached to the end. Here's the pattern. Listen first, then say it with me. Hablar becomes hablaré, hablarás, hablará, hablaremos, hablarán. Comer becomes comeré, comerás, comerá, comeremos, comerán. Vivir becomes viviré, vivirás, vivirá, viviremos, vivirán. Did you notice the shortcut? The endings are the stars here. A, as, a, hemos, an. If you can remember those 5 little pieces, you can build a lot. Think of them like 5 future stickers you place onto the full verb. Hablar plus a, hablaré, I will speak. Comer plus hemos, comeremos, we will eat. Viajar plus an, viajarán, they will travel. And here's a memory trick. The future in Spanish often sounds confident and tidy. Many forms have a strong final sound, especially that little accent. A, as, a, an. Let the accent do some of the remembering for you. Let's make it active right away. How do you say, I will travel tomorrow, in Spanish? Viajaré mañana. Viajaré mañana. Perfect. Viajaré mañana. I will travel tomorrow. Notice there's no subject pronoun there. In Spanish, you often don't need to say yo. Viajaré already tells us it's I. Cleaner, faster, more natural. Now another one. How do you say, we will eat later, in Spanish? Comeremos más tarde. Comeremos más tarde. Nice. Más tarde means later, a very useful little time phrase. You'll hear it all the time. Comeremos más tarde. We'll eat later. Now let's build this in your head like a pattern, not 10 separate facts. If hablaré is I will speak, then compraré is I will buy, estudiaré is I will study, and trabajaré is I will work. Same shape, same future sticker, just a different verb. So if you want to say I will buy a coffee, you get compraré un café. If you want to say I will study tomorrow, estudiaré mañana. If you want to say I will work on Monday, trabajaré el lunes. Quick side note, with days of the week in Spanish, you usually say el lunes, literally on the Monday, for on Monday. Small detail, very useful. How do you say she will call tonight in Spanish? Llamará esta noche. Llamará esta noche. Excellent. Llamará esta noche. She will call tonight. And yes, it can also mean he will call tonight, depending on context. Spanish often lets context do some work. Let's keep going. How do you say they will study in the library in Spanish? Estudiarán en la biblioteca. Estudiarán en la biblioteca. Great. Estudiarán en la biblioteca. They will study in the library. Biblioteca is one of those nice words that looks friendly in both languages. Always appreciate a word that wants to cooperate. Now, let's notice something important. The ending tells you who is doing the action. Estudiaré, I will study. Estudiarás, you will study. Estudiará, he, she, it will study. Estudiaremos, we will study. Estudiarán, they will study. So instead of memorizing full sentences one by one, memorize the engine. Let's test that engine. If viajaré is I will travel, how would you probably say you will travel? Viajarás, and we will travel. Viajaremos, they will travel. Viajarán. Exactly. Same verb, new ending. Future unlocked. How do you say will you visit Madrid in Spanish? ¿Visitarás Madrid? ¿Visitarás Madrid? Very good. ¿Visitarás Madrid? Notice how Spanish often just raises the meaning with the question marks and voice. Same future form, now it becomes a question. Very efficient. Let's add a few more useful examples. Llegaré pronto means I will arrive soon. Trabajaremos mañana means we will work tomorrow. Comprarán comida means they will buy food. Hablarás con Ana means you will speak with Anna. Vivirá en Barcelona means he or she will live in Barcelona. And here's a tiny detour that helps a lot. Vivir means to live, as in to reside somewhere. So viviré en Sevilla means I will live in Seville. But if you want to say I will live happily, as in enjoy life, Spanish still uses vivir, but context matters. At this level, just connect vivir strongly with where someone lives. That will help. Compraré pan. Compraré pan. Good. Compraré pan. Bread is pan, not to be confused with a pan in English. So if you buy pan in Spain, you get bread, not cookware. Helpful to know before dinner gets weird. How do you say, we will work tomorrow in Spanish? Trabajaremos mañana. Trabajaremos mañana. Excellent. Trabajaremos mañana. How do you say they will arrive soon in Spanish? Llegarán pronto. Llegarán pronto. Nice. Llegarán pronto. Pronto means soon. Short, useful, high frequency. Now let's talk about mistakes learners often make. First common mistake, using the wrong ending with the right verb. For example, saying hablarás when you mean I will speak. Remember, a is your I ending, so hablaré, comeré, viviré. If it's you, then has, hablarás, comerás, vivirás. Second common mistake, dropping part of the verb. With the verbs we're using today, keep the full verb. Hablar plus not hab plus Comer plus hemos, not com plus hemos. Think full verb plus future ending. Third common mistake, forgetting the written accents. In speech, people will still understand you, but the accents matter in writing. Hablaré, comerás, vivirá, comprarán. Those little marks are not decoration, they're working. Fourth common mistake, adding subject pronouns everywhere. You can say yo viajaré, but very often just viajaré sounds more natural. Same with comeremos, llamará, visitarán. Let the verb carry the message. Now let's make the future feel real with a mini story. First, just listen. Mañana viajaré a Madrid. Visitaré a una amiga y hablaremos en un café. Después comeremos cerca del museo. Por la tarde, compraré un libro y estudiaré un poco. Más tarde, llamaré a mi familia. Finalmente, llegaré al hotel muy contenta. Now let's go line by line. Mañana viajaré a Madrid. Tomorrow I will travel to Madrid. Visitaré a una amiga y hablaremos en un café. I will visit a friend and we will talk in a café. Después comeremos cerca del museo. Afterwards we will eat near the museum. Por la tarde compraré un libro y estudiaré un poco. In the afternoon I will buy a book and study a little. Más tarde llamaré a mi familia. Later I will call my family. Finalmente llegaré al hotel muy contenta. Finally, I will arrive at the hotel very happy. A quick helpful note there, a before a person, as in visitaré a una amiga, is very common in Spanish. When the action goes toward a person, Spanish often uses that little a. It's one of those tiny words that shows up everywhere. Let's do a few fast ones together, because speed helps confidence. How do you say I will study tomorrow in Spanish? Estudiaré mañana. Estudiaré mañana. How do you say she will work in Madrid in Spanish? Trabajará en Madrid. trabajará en Madrid. How do you say we will speak later in Spanish? Hablaremos más tarde. Hablaremos más tarde. How do you say they will live in Barcelona in Spanish? Vivirán en Barcelona. Vivirán en Barcelona. Beautiful. You're not just memorizing isolated lines now, you're seeing the pattern and using it. So here's the core idea again. Take the whole verb and add the future endings. E for I, S for you, A for he or she, hemos for we, an for they. Full verb plus future ending. Hablaré, comerás, vivirá, trabajaremos, estudiarán, viajaré, comprará, visitarán, llamarás, llegarán. If you want a quick mental chant, try this. Full verb, future ending. Full verb, future ending. It sounds simple because it is simple, and that's exactly why it works. Before we finish, one last little real-life moment. If a friend asks, ¿Cuándo llamarás? That means when will you call? If you answer llamaré esta noche, you've just used the future naturally. That's the goal. Not perfection, just real communication. Let's recap. Today you learned how to talk about what will happen in Spanish with a very useful future pattern. You practiced forms like viajaré, comeremos, llamará, estudiarán, and visitarás. You saw that the endings do most of the work, and you learned to trust the full verb plus the ending. And honestly, this is a great area of Spanish to build confidence, because once the pattern clicks, you can say a lot very quickly. So if your brain is thinking, hey, I can actually do this, your brain is correct. Keep listening for these forms, keep saying them out loud, and keep building little future sentences about your own life. Mañana estudiaré. Después comeré. Más tarde llamaré a un amigo. That's how it sticks. You're doing great, and yes, your Spanish future is looking very bright.